Coach Ivan or Coach Ivan?
Whatever you prefer.
Which one do you prefer?
In my country, it's pronounced Ivan.
Ivan.
But English-speaking people call me Ivan.
Ivan.
Yeah, so I don't mind either, to be honest.
You don't mind either. Nice. Okay. We always have nice, lovely topics together outside the discussion, and I've heard a lot about you also. But I think you are one of the first people that I've met ever since I moved to this gym. And our first conversation was about a T-shirt that I was wearing, which was Deadlift, which you managed to get finally.
yeah. But I told you I don't wear it in the gym because I don't want to clash. Yeah.
I stopped actually wearing it, although I do perform deadlift, and this is today's topic that we are going to talk about, deadlift. Why deadlift? Why is it so important to you that you had to get the T-shirt where it's written deadlift?
I didn't have to. I just wanted to. I think it's a nice. I think it's beautiful exercise overall, and it's just so enjoyable. Like you can't really give an explanation to it why. Yeah. So I do think squat and deadlift and also bench press and chin-ups are really main movers of the human body, and I think everybody should be performing them. But for me personally, and the most important thing is I enjoy them.
You enjoy them.
Yeah, very much.
I'll ask you a question, which I ask myself and I tell people that I train or talk to, is like if somebody told you right now that you have to have one workout to live forever with you, which workout would it be?
One workout or one exercise?
One exercise.
Deadlifts.
Deadlifts.
Yeah.
I will reply and answer the same. Why?
I'll give you two answers. Okay. First one is a personal preference.
Yeah.
I like it, so this doesn't need to be explained that much. Second one is physiological.
Yes.
It involves huge amount of muscle mass. Like it can be done in a form of a hip hinge, or it can be done in a form of squat, and entire body is working, literally from the forehead and the eyebrow all the way to your Achilles tendon. So if you want to get one exercise to kill as many birds as possible with one stone, it's going to be a deadlift.
The deadlift.
Especially snatch grip deadlift, or snatch grip deficit deadlift, when you hold the bar very wide and you elevate your feet on maybe 5 centimeter plate, then you're lifting the bar from the deficit, and this is the exercise that's going to involve huge amount of muscle mass.
So I have tried this snatch bar grip.
How did you find it?
It was targeting differently.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, different areas in the back mostly, and as well I could feel it like in the glutes and hamstrings, but mostly the back. It was the feeling which was different.
Yeah, and also I assume you felt your lats working as well, isometrically.
Yeah,
that's true. So it involves a lot of muscle mass.
To those who don't know what we're talking about, deadlift is one of the compound movements which is extremely beneficial for muscle growth overall, plus hormonal growth. Yeah. So it requires a technique, a special technique with a special coach who knows what he's doing. It's not just somebody who copies from YouTube. There are certain criteria to follow and a few steps. It could work differently from different people, like those with long limbs, those with shorter limbs, those who have one shorter than the other. So it's an extremely interesting workout, but also at the same time, it's called deadlift for a reason.
It is, yeah. Actually, if you take a look at the Spanish, it's called peso muerto. The word muerto means dead.
Dead, yeah.
If you look at the Serbian, you have word dead. Mrtvo dizanje.
Yes.
To mrtav means to die. So it's always lifted from the dead stop. So there's no bouncing.
Yeah.
So when I see people bouncing deadlift, I don't like it for two reasons. Number one, they're ruining my favorite exercise. And number two, I don't think that's a productive way to lift, because all this energy is going straight to their lower back.
Yeah.
So chances of them getting injured are much higher than lowering the bar down nice and control, resetting and lifting up.
True.
Like with stability.
When did you start deadlifting? At which age? And who encouraged you to do deadlift?
I started going to gym when I was 18, but first few years I really didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
So
like all of us.
got injured. Yeah, I got injured plenty of times, but Every time I got injured, I learned something from it. So I'm not going to say that was bad. I think it was great experience. But I really started to focus and pay attention to deadlifting in the last maybe 6 years.
6 years? Just recently?
Yeah, just recently, because I spoke with some really, really smart coaches who advised me on specific body positioning and the reason why I'm doing deadlift in a specific training. So yeah, when I spoke with some people, they managed to explain me why am I doing this, why am I standing on a platform, why am I doing snatch grip, and yeah, that's it.
Interesting. And what is the maximum weight you are lifting today, and how did you progress to reach that level of strength? Yes.
When you mention the word strength, people take it for granted. Mm-hmm. So human body has different physical capabilities. And it works like on a continuum. So if it's like this, you have on one side your maximum strength, and on the other side your aerobic activity. Okay, they are going on a different spectrums. Okay, you can never have high level of strength and high level of aerobic activity. So strength is a physical component of human body that's gained very hard and retained very little. Aerobic activity is gained very fast and retained a lot, even without training. So as soon as you stop training, like strength training, proper strength training, your strength is going to dissipate much faster than if you just stop running. If you stop running for 2 or 3 months, you're still going to be able to run those kind of things. But if you stop training for 2 or 3 months, strength training, you're not going to be able to lift nowhere near as weight as you did before.
True.
So progression of deadlift through the years was really interesting. Last April was my personal best. I did 3 or 5 on deadlift, so I was really happy because of this.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now I'm on 250, 260, something like this. I didn't really check my max lately. But there is fun stuff about deadlifting and me. I don't deadlift very often.
Okay.
I deadlift maximum 6 months a year. And even not consecutively.
Okay.
I take breaks of it because I'm very dominant. My physique is dominant for deadlifting. So I don't need to strain my body that much to get the number.
Okay.
So that's why. So I would deadlift for like 3 months, different variation of it, and then take maybe 2 months off and those kind of things.
When you say dominant, what do you mean?
People who have physiology or morphology of some people will give them more benefit towards certain exercise. So my legs and lower and limbs, my limbs are very long, so they give me advantage for deadlifting.
Yeah.
But they don't give me advantage for bench pressing. So those
because
kind
of the distance.
Distance is higher. Yeah. Unless you create like powerlifting arch, which I don't really like.
Let's talk about the differences in the types of deadlifts. We mentioned earlier the snatch grip, which is a wider grip. And in terms of targeting the muscle, which muscles are more towards deadlifts? And if we talk about the different types of deadlifts, let's talk about different types and each muscle group which is involved.
So if you put an EMG on human body while deadlifting, especially while doing snatch grip, everything is working isometrically. Only specific muscles are moving, like quads and hamstrings and glutes, because you're creating a hinge pattern. So it's normal. It's normal for them to be contracting a little bit, but specific ratio, which muscle exactly is working and which one is most dominant, I think it varies from person to person.
True.
So I'm going to say if your hamstring is working 70%, mine may be working 60, or somebody's maybe working 80. It really depends on how big of a hinge you create in order to lift the weight.
We're talking here, just to elaborate, we're talking here about the conventional deadlift.
Yeah,
not RDLs or Romanian.
Even in conventional, hip hinge is created to some extent.
Sure.
I don't think there is a specific number you can say, okay, your hamstring is going to be working here 83.5%, for example.
Yeah.
It really matters the most on the limbs on the individual, how big hip hinge he creates, or if he's going to be doing squats with a deadlift.
Yeah.
So you can do instead of creating a hip hinge pattern, you can do squat pattern in deadlift, like for example in a trap bar.
And a trap bar,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
So your quads are going to be overly dominant there.
Yeah.
So that's why.
So let's stay on the conventional deadlift part. I forgot the question.
That's okay.
It was related to the glutes mostly.
Yeah.
So when you're creating a hip hinge, the one that pushes more is hamstrings and glutes.
So when I was working at one gym here, I won't say the name of the gym because I don't want to get them in trouble.
Yeah.
We had a discussion about the subject. So the question was this: how come squat and deadlift they don't activate the hamstrings? Exactly. So they were claiming squat and deadlift you don't train your hamstrings through squat and deadlift. Okay, I couldn't figure it out. I didn't understand what they're referring to. How come? So they were referring to, like, for example, biceps. We know it flexes and supinates the forearm.
Mm-hmm.
So they were thinking that squat and deadlift are working the same way. Apparently, it's not like this. So I asked them the question: if the hamstring in squat and deadlift are not working, as you guys are saying, is bicep working on the bench press? Can you bench press without bicep? No. It's not a primary mover, right?
True.
But it serves to stabilize your humerus and your shoulder joint.
Absolutely.
Same stuff hamstring is doing in squats and in deadlifts.
Yeah.
It needs to be there to stabilize.
Absolutely.
Okay. So you cannot differentiate, okay, squat is working explicitly this muscle, or deadlift is working explicitly this muscle. These exercises are so big that it involves entire body.
Absolutely.
So only difference between them, when you put an EMG on it, I was just reading research on the subject 2 days ago,
Yeah.
and they did a test on the back squat and front squat, full. When I say full, I mean hamstring should be covering calf in the bottom position, okay, and the torso as upright as possible.
Yeah.
Biggest difference in both of these two exercises is the engagement of the VMO. It's a small teardrop muscle towards the knee, which works slightly more on the front squat.
Yeah.
That's it.
Not absolutely true. Yeah.
That's it. That's the main difference. And the trunk has been more upright on the front squat.
On the front squat, yeah.
Which is normal. So, but funny enough, even though the rectus femoris of the quad still crosses the hip joint,
Yeah.
Engagement of the rec fem didn't matter.
No.
On the front and back.
No.
So yeah.
When we're talking about deadlift and which target muscle, and the squat also, which target muscle you can activate more, what I've noticed from my own journey and playing around with the machines and using deadlifts and squats is what I engage before the workout. I always like to warm up my hamstrings, for example, before a deadlift. Mm-hmm. And when I'm doing squats, I warm up both. Mm-hmm. Hamstrings starting first, and then the leg extension to warm up the quads. So it's more safer for my knees. Yeah. The more I put emphasis on my quads on a squat, in terms of doing leg extension, the heavier I go, the more engagement it is, the more pumped and ready and like stiff it gets. Going to a squat, I feel more squats. Mm-hmm. I feel more quads.
Okay.
Deadlifts, to be honest, I have zero engagement, I would say, that I notice of my quads. Mm-hmm. So I think it makes a big difference how you warm up the session. I like to call it warm up, although it is a full workout for some.
But it is a warm up. I'll get back to your question. I just want to explain something. People misunderstand the word warm up. Okay, when you are warming up for a training, your brain needs to know only two things: the range of motion you're gonna go, and how heavy you're going to go. Okay, that's it. So when you see somebody riding a bike 20 minutes before doing legs, or walking on a treadmill 20 minutes before legs, they're getting tired and they have accumulation of lactate for no reason. Mm. So when they are about to lift weights, engagement of their high threshold motor units is diminished, so they can not lift heavy weight. By the way, accumulation of lactic acid is one of the biggest reasons why people get injured. Yeah. That's why I see so many injuries in CrossFit, because of these things. one of the reasons, besides bad form, of course.
Yeah.
But see what you've discovered intuitively to warm up the hamstring before the squat actually has transfer on the squat. If you manage to warm up opposing muscle of the muscle that you are working,
Yes.
the muscle that you're going to be working is going to be able to produce higher force.
True.
And it's been in papers, especially from Yuri Verkhoshansky, since 1986. So in his book, Super Training, he published a research, and he is very well known in strength conditioning circles. He says that if you do a movement, and after this movement, you do opposing movement, like let's say do bench press, followed by some sort of pull, when you get back on bench press, you're going to be able to produce more force. Yeah. It's called reciprocal inhibition.
Yeah.
Okay. So pairing agonist and antagonist movement in the same session, it's one of the best ways to train. Besides being able to produce more force, you are going to allow your body to move through the full range of motion. So if you're able to go through the full range of motion, two things are going to happen. Number one, more hypertrophy, obviously. And number two, less chances of injury and creating of scar tissue on the specific joint. So what you've discovered intuitively, like there is actually in the books.
Absolutely, yeah. And these things like happen for many ways of reading and experimenting as well. And I always had injuries or stiffness, let's not call it injuries, stiffness in my knees, especially the quadriceps tendinitis. I used to have that because of a trip on the stairs that I had.
Okay.
I tripped off one step, and it stayed for a while. Two things helped me. The diet that I'm on straight away helped.
Yeah. You're talking about the diet you're now, right?
Yes. And the second thing was the warm-up that I start with.
Yeah.
I mentioned earlier that I start with leg curls and then leg extension, not the other way around.
Yeah. I see.
It's always the opposing muscle, as you mentioned, and then the targeted muscle, which helps big time with my quads to be ready for any quad compound movement.
Yeah.
If I start with the opposite way, it takes a while, a lot, to warm it up.
100%. So, for example, if you are going to do a bench press and you do warm up of your external rotators of the shoulder, and just with no lat machine, just do a few sets of the lat pull down, and then go back on bench press, you're gonna be feeling much safer when you grip the bar.
I don't recall who mentioned this one, but it totally makes sense. Like the warm-up for the back, preparing yourself for a bench press, is like having a cannon, which is like a big, the one that they use in the war. Being on a boat,
canoe.
On a canoe.
Charles Poliquin said it.
I think so.
You can't fire a cannon from a canoe.
Yes, and which means like the water and the canoe is like the back, the unstable back, while the proper back is like the concrete stable back.
In his things, he was referring to the core when he said it. So people mistake the word core as well. They think it's just
the
part
abs,
of the body, just the abs. No, it's like full sheet surrounding your spine. So if that's weak, I think for people who have weak core, they don't have good life. They don't even have to go to gym or anything. If there are sedentary people having weak core, their life is bad. Chances of getting injured are much higher, and this creates further issues. Like, for example, their shoulders are going to get internally rotated, then their diaphragm is going to get pressed up, so their breathing pattern is compromised, and all these things are creating stress.
Yeah.
And then they don't know where is stress coming from and those kinds of things. But as soon as you help normal people get stronger, their life changes.
Absolutely.
That's it.
Yeah.
They don't need to deadlift 300 kilos.
No.
They just want to be able to put the shoes without pain.
Yeah.
But you cannot do these things unless you strength train.
So since we opened up the subject of core, how important is core movement with deadlifts and vice versa?
Can you please define core movement for me?
Core engagement.
Extremely.
Yeah.
You cannot deadlift without engaging the core.
Yeah.
Like core has so many small muscles inside. I call them invisible muscles. And in my opinion, invisible muscles are more important than the visible muscles in human body because they are there to create the stability. They are there for a reason. So you need to know how to engage them and keep them engaged while lifting heavy weight. If you disengage the core while you're lifting heavy weight, it doesn't matter if the weight is here or on the back or in your arms, your lower back are taking over the load.
Yeah.
That's it. And chances of you getting injured are going through the roof. So learning how to keep the core engaged makes tremendous difference. Yeah, that's it.
What are the main tips that you would give a beginner in deadlift to engage his core? And how important is it does it take out, this is like a multiple question, lower back pain. We'll get back to lower back pain,
back to lower back pain. Okay.
Because it's too deep.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
Yeah.
So when people are deadlifting, what I and you see on a daily basis is they just want to lift the weight from the ground from point A to point B. Okay. If you want to lift the weight from point A to point B, you need to lift it with a good form, especially if the weight is heavy. Okay. So there are a few prerequisites, in my opinion, that everybody should be having while deadlifting. Keep your spine neutral, as it is, number one. And number two, keep your core engaged. So what do I mean by keep your core engaged is, imagine you have a balloon in your gut here, and you want to inflate the balloon. Once the balloon is inflated, it's going to press on your abdominal wall all the way outside, and it's going to keep you tight. Now, keep it like this until you lift the weight. Yeah. Once you lower down the weight, you can reset and do it all over again. Sure. As long as this balloon is inhaled and nice and tight, your back are going to be nice, safe, and stable. Yeah. If balloon is not engaged,
not inflated properly, yes.
Yeah, your lower back are going to take over most of the work.
And this is mostly in all compound movements, but especially with squats and deadlifts, is where the majority of people face lower back pain. And every time somebody talks about deadlift, they point out the lower back. Yeah. Like, my lower back hurts. How about your lower back? Yeah. Let's talk about lower back pain and why people have this issue. From my point of view, I'll just tell you my point of view, why, and you can explain it even deeper and further, is most of the people, they don't know how to hip hinge. Mm-hmm. They don't keep a neutral spine, as you mentioned. This is something also. And the breathing. Is there anything else? And we can dive into these details.
Honestly, no. It's all these three things, you've said it. So I don't know if you've discovered this, but some people are not aware of their breathing patterns at all.
That's true.
So if you tell somebody just lie down on the ground or on a mat and just focus on your breathing, expanding and contracting your rib cage, they cannot do it. Yeah. So one of the things that's happening is most people are stuck in a sympathetic nervous system. So they're constantly on the fight or flight mode, that they have lost the ability to feel their own body. So that may create big issue when you want to lift. Not heavy weight, just weight. Yeah. Or sit in a car, for example. So as far as low back are concerned, until I learned how to lift properly, I had a lot of back pain. But I continue lifting because I was stubborn. Nothing serious happened, of course, but I was trying to figure out what am I doing wrong. Yeah. And until I learned, then the entire picture changed totally for me. So now I can lift once, even twice a week. No issues with my lower back.
Absolutely.
But you can feel a tightness. It's like a muscular tightness because lower back don't have muscle there. It's a thoracolumbar fascia.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Yeah. So it creates really big tightness after heavy lifting session. Just give it a few days to rest and recover. You don't need to do any special treatment. Just go home and sleep. Yeah. Relax, and it's going to be okay. But if thoracolumbar fascia is tight and tensed, and you still keep lifting on it, then chances of injury may go higher. That's normal. True. And one thing what people don't understand about low back pain is specifically this thoracolumbar fascia. They work on the upper side. It's connected to the latissimus, yes. And on the lower side, on the opposing side, on the glute.
On the glutes, yes.
So now imagine this: if you strengthen your glutes very much, and if you strengthen your lats very much, it's taking exactly.
It's like a stretching massage.
It's a massage. Exactly. So it's gonna alleviate a lot of pain from your lower back.
Yeah.
So yeah, just by doing proper strength training, you can resolve a lot of back pain people are complaining about.
Most of the people that I train and experiment while they're doing deadlifts, like I witness these mistakes, is they don't know how to hip hinge. They mostly arch their back with a hyperextension way, and thinking that this is the way to do it. And that's adding extra contraction to the lower back, which then causes them to not engage the glutes, which is the biggest muscle in the movement, and in this movement in specific. When I do my deadlifts, the soreness that I get is mostly hamstrings and glutes, rather than I do have like soreness, but it's light.
Yeah.
Not that much. And it took me a while to practice what you mentioned, the breathing. The hip hinging was a big mistake. Yeah. And also the flat back was there, because you cannot really lift with a curved back. I couldn't imagine myself doing that unless I'm doing a 1 rep max. And there are 2 different curvatures. Let's talk about the curvature in the back, which is one accepted and the other one is not accepted.
Yeah. So upper portion of the back curvature is called kyphosis. It's a natural one because spine works like an S, like not big S, small S.
Yeah.
And the lower part of the spine, like a lumbar region, which connects down to the sacrum, it's also curved towards inside of towards our belly. Yeah. That's a natural curvature that everybody should be having, and it's in its good way.
It's a good way. Yeah.
If something is off in the spine, and you have people who don't have these natural curves, like you have people who have flat back, it means their vertebrae are stuck on top of each other without the curve. They can experience back pain even without lifting. Without lifting. So there is a biomechanical damage that occurred due to something.
Yeah.
Can be many reasons. Can be injury when they were kids, they were not aware of it. Can be bad lifting sessions. Yeah. Can be many reasons.
Could be a bad lifestyle also, like the way
bad
that they
lifestyle
sit.
Can be as well. A rotated pelvis on different sides. There are ways to fix it. Some guys who know biomechanics very well can help with these things. Problem is, it's boring.
It is.
People don't want to go through the boring stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, but sometimes in order to get better, you need to go through the boring stuff.
Yeah.
And to get back on the deadlifts, personally, I rarely ever start a client on a deadlift on the floor. I like to elevate the bar.
So rack pulls. Yeah.
Rack pulls. Go on the faces.
True.
Teach them how to handle the load through the faces.
Yeah.
Because if I bring my mom now, she's close to 60 now, and I give her deadlift from the floor, she's probably going to be fine for a few sessions. Then something's going to be off.
Yeah.
Teach her how to handle the load
and
through the
lower,
faces and the lower.
Yeah.
That's my preferred way of teaching deadlifts.
Yeah. And it puts less pressure on the back in general.
It puts less pressure on the back.
So it's more of a hip hinge movement at the start, and then the more you lower the trap bar or the bar lower and lower, you're more teaching them to engage their back and contract the lats as well as the glutes to make the lift.
Yeah. Also gives them the ability, gives them self-confidence. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know from your experience, from my experience, people tend to be scared from weightlifting.
Yeah.
Either females are going to get scared not to get bulky, which is really hard.
Or hurt themselves.
Yeah. Males also, not to get bulky, but of injury. Yeah. So when they learn how to handle the load from the specific part of the lift, and then you slowly progress on the bottom part, they feel more confident and everything gets easier. Yeah. They trust in themselves more.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
True. You posted today your goals with Dr. Sean Baker lifting his 450 pounds, which was like 230, I would
204
say.
kilos. 204 kilos.
204 kilos for 15 reps.
In the age of 57.
And 57 age, yes.
Impressive.
So it is very impressive.
It is, and you know he's tall. He's taller than you, I think.
He's way much taller than me.
Way much taller,
He's 6'7", and insane. He weighs 270, I think. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
It's impressive. It's impressive. Like people say.
And he's on a zero carb diet, which he called, by the way, the carnivore diet. He gave it this name. It used to be called the zero carb diet.
So he renamed it the carnivore.
He named it the carnivore diet.
You had an interesting chat with him. I'm looking forward to see on YouTube what you guys were talking about. But he's quite smart, and I think what he's doing and how he's taking care of himself is very nice. I think this prolongs your lifespan.
Deadlift?
No. The
diet.
Training.
The training in general.
The training in general,
yes,
and the diet.
And the diet.
Because if you are going and partying and drinking every night and still training, alcohol is going to take a toll.
Yeah.
But if you prioritize your lifestyle, everything becomes much easier.
You know that I have a challenge every year that for the past 2 years I've been doing it. On my birthday, I measure my weight and I try to deadlift my age. So the weight is the weight that I'm going to lift on deadlift is my actual weight.
Okay.
And the times I do the reps is my age. So for instance, this year in July, I will be 44. So I have to perform my body weight 44 times non-stop.
Non-stop. It's brilliant.
Yes.
That's
and
brilliant.
I'm planning to keep on going, doing this until the last day of my life.
That's amazing.
This is a goal.
That's amazing. So Tony, my client who we met, he also has a goal.
Yes.
And he decided for each consecutive year, he's going to do 100 kilo deadlift, his body weight squat, and body weight pull-ups. So last year he turned 50. So he did 50 pull-ups, 50 squats, and 50 deadlifts.
Nice.
This year we keep the same weight, but we just had one rep.
One rep.
And that's a legit test
Yes.
of the stuff, how you've been doing in the past year.
Yeah.
So if you are managed to do this when you're 60 or 70, you know you're in shape.
You are.
You are. And these challenges are amazing because they give you things that are easy to track, and they're motivating and keeps you moving forward.
Absolutely.
I like these things.
Absolutely. It's a challenge. But I must tell you, like, when I have done it the first time, it was 42. Mm-hmm. The year that I turned 42. I weighed at that time 100 kg. Okay. So I lifted 100 kg 42 times. The last 5
was not fun.
My glutes
on fire
were extremely.
Wait, you're talking about deadlifts, yeah?
Deadlifts.
Yeah.
The only thing that was blocking me was my glutes.
Were they burning?
Burning, literally burning.
Exactly.
Like I needed a fire extinguisher to.
Yeah.
And there was one therapist who came from Belarus to UAE for a few weeks only. He happened to be there. I asked him to massage my glutes only in the gym floor at that day, and it's recorded on my Instagram.
Yeah.
The only thing to show you how this workout is more dominant on glutes, at least for me, probably because I have longer limbs lower limbs than my upper limbs. So the hip hinge for me is more, which leads more to the engagement, or the percentage goes more higher to the glutes rather than anything else, like quads or hamstrings.
Your lifting technique is very much similar to mine.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with this.
Yeah.
If you interview a weightlifting coach, they will tell you a different story.
They will tell me I need to lower my hip.
Yes, you need to squat down, you need to move and transition a little bit so the bar can be lifted with more ease on the way up.
Yeah, using the quads a little bit more.
Exactly. Yeah. But nor you nor me are weightlifters.
No.
And I'm not planning to be a weightlifter.
No.
I have to say, it's an amazing. It's stuff I admire the most, to be honest with you. Weightlifting, proper Olympic weightlifting. Mm. There we have a guy 85 kilos from squatting 250. Yeah. How impressive is this?
It is.
It's impressive.
Yeah.
But to get there, some of them squats up to 15 times a week. Okay. Who has this time with full-time job, especially with the kids and family?
Yeah.
I don't want to devote as much attention to these things. Yeah. It's good to know it, to learn it, but to pursue it as a competitive stuff, I think we're both a little bit too old for this. But it's nice to know.
It is nice. I mean, now I would advise my son, for example, who is in his early teenagehood, to start off with weightlifting and learn the techniques. For example, I'll teach him how to deadlift, I'll teach him how to squat, I'll teach him how to pull up, or chin up, as you call it, and then bench press.
Yeah.
Those four are the pinnacles that he has to learn, and then later on I'll teach him or he will learn how to do the other stuff, which is isometric, isolation movements with the machines and the stuff. And also the confidence that it comes for such a young guy to know and master these techniques, and the foundation to build proper physique later on when he grows up are extremely important. And also the other part, which is more psychological part, is how, with the confidence, to know how to lift weights and fail and come back the next day lifting proper technique and heavier. It's overwhelming.
No, it is, because people think you can do your personal best and move your numbers on a deadlift and on a squat every day. Your 1 rep max varies. And that's what separates strength training from bodybuilding. You need to monitor it much, much better. So, for example, let's say you're my coach and you tell me, hey, man, you need to go tomorrow and do 8 sets of 3 reps with 88% of the max on the back squat or on front squat, doesn't matter. I sleep 4 hours. There's no way, absolutely no way you can do it. But if you tell me, go do your biceps and triceps, like bodybuilding stuff, I can get away with it. Because there is no percentages, you're chasing only pump, and it's way easier to recover. So that's why strength training and bodybuilding are a little bit different. And when you're working with some professional athletes, there are more things to be monitored than just plain physique. So us coaches, we may, if that's what we want, search for the physique stuff, but some athletes are not.
And you mentioned this point where there are days that you can lift your one rep max and there are days that you cannot. It's exactly what you mentioned. It depends on your stress levels before, which means lack of sleep, what kind of issues you had in your life before you came here. So you cannot keep track of your 1 rep max throughout the whole journey, and you cannot keep overloading the weight, and the weight that you have done yesterday might not be the same weight, and you might not progress. We need to come back a little bit, one step back before we proceed to the next. But it's very interesting.
But if you do, let's say you want to make a 12-week training plan for yourself or for a client. Let's say for yourself better, because you are more experienced than your clients, I assume. And if you monitor stuff properly, like a drop-off point and your sleeping pattern, your pre- and post-workout nutrition, your numbers will be going up. Because you're chasing only 2% per session. You don't need to jump 10%. If you've lifted 100 kilos today, and next Sunday you lift, 102 kilos, you won.
That's a progress.
That's amazing progress. Now accumulate these 2% times 12 weeks. It's huge. So people don't look at the small picture. They look, I just want to lift 200 kilos to 300. Wait.
No, the small...
One step at a time.
These small weights add as well.
It's true.
Interesting. I just want to wrap up with one question, which is going to be interesting to know your opinion about. Sumo deadlifting. Okay, your laughter said it all. We're on the same page then.
Okay, so...
For those who want to know what sumo deadlifting is, we talked earlier about the snatch grip, which is opening the arms, but this one is the total opposite. You're opening your legs.
Okay, fair enough. When you put it like this, it's true. I have to say something. I don't like it. I don't prescribe it. I don't think it's a fun way to lift. Biggest numbers are lifted on sumo deadlift. You see a guy from Russia, Yuri Belkin, 104 kilos. His deadlift is 420.
Okay.
Impressive. All of them. Eddie Cohn, he was sumo deadlifting. Most of the guys who have deadlifted a huge amount of weight were doing it through sumo. Reason is the range of motion is shorter.
Shorter, absolutely.
So that's it. So I can't say it's terrible because world records have been set by it, but I just don't like it.
Luckily I haven't seen anyone here who deadlifts that much, and second of all is like nobody sumo deadlifts here.
That's true.
I haven't seen it. And from my point of view is also there's one thing that I would add. It's also dangerous. in one way.
Yeah.
Probably you haven't noticed this one, or you might. Is that when you're opening your legs wide enough, whether you're barefoot or with shoes or with socks, which is even more dangerous, you might slip. Your legs might slip and go under the weight also.
Especially if you're lifting on a platform over there, you may slip. So because it's very slippery, so you need to be really careful. Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. Interesting.
Very. But if you get to choose something that you can do for the rest of your life, it would be upper body pulling movement, hip hinge in a form of deadlift, and type of squat, and you'll set.
Yeah. Interesting. Ivan, I'm really happy to have you firstly here on this very first podcast with me. Thank you. Definitely this is not going to be the last. Please, people, write down in the comments what you want to know more about these discussions, whether you like it or not, and what type of movements, exercise you want to know about. Coach Ivan and I will be more than happy to reply you. And when are we going to deadlift together?
Tuesday.
Hopefully. That's it.
Done. Tuesday, done.
we have a date. Nice meeting you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Cheers.